what, week 6, right? Week 6 is here. College football season. Michigan takes on the Hoosiers of Indiana. They usually play us pretty tight this time. Majority of the time, it's a close game, at least through the first 3 quarters. Seem to have some recipe to be able to play with us. Last year didn't really, if I remember correctly. I think we won that game last year pretty smoothly and pretty easily. Um, I mean, I feel today's going to be a pretty decent test. But Michigan cannot overlook Indiana.
No.
Looking ahead to a top 10 matchup next week against Penn State. I mean, Indiana is sitting at 3-2, 1-1 in the conference. The spread today is 22.5. I don't think we can. I feel like we overlook Indiana a lot, and that's why why they do play us so close.
Yeah, and they're just one of those tough teams. We're one of their rivals, even though they're not one of ours. Because of our tradition and everything we've been around, we're just about everybody we play on a regular basis, rival it on some level. And they're just not there. But, they're over the years, there's a long history of Indiana coaches to Michigan and Michigan coaches to Indiana. And I think that probably plays into it a little bit too. Mike Hart coach there, Gary Moeller coach there. Greg Madison coach there. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they always play us tough for whatever reason, but my memory says the same thing your memory does, is that last year it really wasn't a big deal. But that was at home. Now we're down there. Cool stadium.
Really cool stadium. I mean, like you said, we've both been there.
Yep. But Indiana's last in scoring defense, giving up 30.4 a game. And they're 10th out of 14 and scoring 27.2, but they do have a legit air attack, right? So our secondary should get tested today. It'd be nice to see how Sanders still proves out. I do feel like at this point he's legit, and we won't really know until probably the Ohio State game. But they're good. One other thing as well is seeing that Roman Wilson is out. He's still in concussion protocol on a hit that should have been called targeting, and it didn't even get mentioned. So we'll be down. He's been our number one guy so far this year.
Yeah, I think this is going to offer other people to step up, and I think we have plenty of people to step up. Yep. I think you'll see if that's the case, you're going to see Angelo Anthony more, probably used more today.
Ronnie Bell will be in there, getting it. Cornelius, who shows so much promises, but has just been so inconsistent. And Andrew did get a couple targets last week, if I remember right. Made 1 or 2 catches. But that one's a little bit perplexing to me, and maybe his state game was just a one-hit wonder, and that's why he's not. That's not why he's getting it. Yeah, Andrew had 1 reception for 29 yards last week, but I sure would like to see him. What's that?
Yeah, he had the out and up.
Yeah,
I'm trying to see.
So, we went over the game last week right after the game, and, just to kind of recap, solid game. Iowa did what Iowa does at Kinnick especially. Fought and slugged their way in it, but as we talked about before the game and a little bit after, talent almost always wins in the end, and we kind of wore those guys down. And they did score an extra touchdown there with a little bit left, but that didn't mean anything, I thought that it was a game well played. 27-14, 13-point win on the road at a really tough place to play for Big Ten opponents. top 5 teams.
Let's go to die.
Yep. So run around, and that first drive, right? That was textbook. Come out, and I forget exactly what it was, but it was like a 10-11 play drive.
Yeah, it's old school Big Ten football,
Yep.
and I mean,
You know
I
what?
think I texted you that.
Yep. And we've been doing. It's been Harbaugh's vision since the start, right? But last year and this year, that's what we've been doing, kind of the Bama, Ohio State model, and now we have the talent to get there. As I've said before, I don't think we're quite there yet, but we've definitely closed the gap on Ohio State, and we're closing the gap on
tremendously.
What's that?
I said tremendously closed down on Ohio State.
Yeah, and I don't know that we're there yet with Georgia and Alabama, but I don't think Georgia and Alabama are as good as they were last year either. So if we can continue to take care of business, we may get another shot. If we do, we will get another shot to test us out and see where we're at. Last year we weren't going to win the national championship no matter what. And I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of excitement because if you're in, you got a chance, right? But we got a shitty matchup because the playoff team didn't want to see the Georgia and Bama play in the first round. They wanted to see them play in the final.
SEC bullshit.
But I think we would have drug Cincinnati last year and then got drugged by whoever won that game. So I don't think the outcome really changed much. But I'd like to see us get a good slot and see what we can do against a good team. But we got to, Harbaugh had said at the beginning of the season, this is the first camp in his memory ever where there were no serious injuries. And then since the first game, we've gotten
knock on some wood, please.
Banged up pretty good. So,
I mean,
from Cade to Donovan Edwards to Roman. Caden Colesar's out for the year now with a knee injury. He's been our special teams all-star.
Hey, have you read anything on Cade? Because I literally haven't seen one goddamn thing on him.
On Cade McNamara?
Yeah.
No, nothing.
It's like he just fell off the face of the earth after he got hurt.
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't heard status updates or anything.
Nothing. That makes me think it's a lot more serious injury than what they initially let on, and they're just trying to let it fly under the radar. But yeah. JJ playing well is probably kept people from going crazy over that. If this was last year, it would have been a lot bigger deal. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Got to stay healthy. Got to beat the opponents you should beat, like today. Penn State next week. Then we got a bye week. Then we got Sparty, right?
So, now we're coming in the heart of the schedule now.
Yep.
I think after that we have 2 games between Michigan State and Ohio State. So, I mean, season's halfway over after today. So
it is.
It goes fast and it sucks. So we're halfway there, damn near. I got some notes here. Just some game notes, like things to look that we've done and things. Michigan currently, before we get too in depth in this game, Michigan currently has 169 plus 169 scoring differential this season. That figure ranks as the program's best mark through 5 games since the 1976 season, that season was plus 183. Michigan is one of 3 programs in the nation with an average margin of victory above 30 points. I mean, that's just big right there. And then, I mean, obviously, Corum. I mean, Corum leads the nation in rushing touchdowns this season. And is 4th in rushing yards. And 12th in yards per carry. Holy shit. How is he 12th? I don't know, but he's averaging 6.57 yards per carry. I did. So I mean, but that's just some little notes just before the game. I'm looking at one thing. So last year's meeting against Indiana was 29-7 was the score. So yeah, it was a pretty simple game for us. Um, but yeah, I mean, keys for the defense. I mean, they're going to throw the football. I think that's going to be their main game. I mean, their quarterbacks already threw the ball almost 300 times.
Right.
Yeah,
they're going to air it out.
Yeah, I mean, and he's not. I don't know. He's not very accurate. I mean, at least from what I'm seeing. Yeah, let's he's 52% completion percentage, which that puts him. That's not good. I mean, he's 130 for 246. Has 13, almost 1,400 yards, 8 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. So I mean, he makes mistakes, and we're gonna have to capitalize off those. I think they're gonna be there today.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, like I said, he's throwing for 300 yards a game almost, right? Pick a game, so the opportunity is there. As long for the season's 52 yards, so they're not getting a shit ton of big plays. Doesn't look like. Their receivers kind of spread out. Camper got 418 yards, 33 receptions. That's pretty impressive. Almost 13 yards a pop. Other than that, they got a bunch of people with a bunch, and nobody more than 200 yards. A couple guys around 100. One guy hanging at like 198, but that's it. So Cam Camper's our main go-to guy. And put whoever our best cover guy is. I'm thinking it's probably Sanders still at this point, and try to lock him up. Rushing wise, Sean Shivers got 377 yards. He's averaging 4.5 a carry, pretty much. 4 touchdowns on the year, along the 47. So he's got a little bit of breakaway capability, but if our D, and this has kind of been a theme the last few games, and I do think that we accomplished that mission a little bit last week, but we got to get that pressure.
Yeah,
we got to figure out a way to get that pressure and hit them and make them uncomfortable in the pocket. And if we can do that and our secondary holds up, we'll be good. And I'm not too worried about our offense as long as we stay healthy. I think we can score points with the best of them. But
yeah, I mean,
that's what games, and whenever you're on the road, it's a test, right? So Kinnick was a tough one last week, and hopefully, and this group seems to be pretty locked in, folks. But hopefully, they stay in locked and focused, and they're not looking forward to Penn State next week and the bye week the following.
Yeah. One thing I was gonna say on the defensive side, like you said, the pressure is gonna be key this week. I mean, this kid don't run. He does not. Their quarterback, or however you say his last name. I think this season on 25 attempts, he's minus 70 yards. So he's not. He doesn't have the speed. He doesn't have the wheels. So you're gonna have the shot if he shot to get back there and get him.
Absolutely.
He's not going to scramble out of the pocket and outrun you as Tulia did. So opportunities there. We'll see if the defense can do it. I mean, they showed out at the end of last game, and really they showed out all game. There's a lot of quarterback hurries, but he was just getting the ball out quick, and I think that's what a lot of teams did.
Yeah, so I just looked at his rushing numbers. Holy shit, right?
Yeah, he's not good.
Yeah,
he's not good. I mean, that's counting sacks and stuff in there, but
yeah, absolutely. But still, 5 games, right? 25 attempts, gained 49 yards, lost 119, negative 70 net, 14 yards, losing 14 yards a carry. That's
not good.
That's not a running threat.
No, not at all. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, yeah, we need to get back there and make some hits on these guys. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Fudge. But I mean, and I don't have a defensive side. That's really it to me. I mean, obviously we have to play the secondary, but I have really no worries in our secondary at this point in the season. I mean, especially after watching the Maryland game with Tulia. I mean, he was throwing the ball everywhere, and he didn't really hurt us downfield, like deep. A lot of his yardage came from underneath throws. I mean, throws that you're going to have the opportunity to hit during the game. The quarterback's just got to hit them.
Right.
So, I mean, our secondary to me is not the problem child this year. Thank God.
Not yet, right?
Well, yeah.
And I mean, we're not going to. I don't think we're going to get exposed if we do get exposed. Like you said earlier, till
Next week,
Ohio State, or
I don't know. We could get exposed next week.
Yeah, Penn State just doesn't scare me, and maybe they should.
I feel the same way. Like very much so about Penn State. I don't know why. If we were playing there, I think it scares me a little bit more. But this season, I mean, other than the 2020 season, I don't think we've lost at home to them in a few years. And the 2020 bullshit season, I don't. Yes, it counts, but it doesn't. But I don't count it, and I get it. But at least for a reference of how teams have played in the past however many years. They don't scare me. I mean, I think it'll be a good game, but I think we win. And I think we surprise a lot of people. I don't think Penn State's as good as they are.
No, I don't think so either. And I'm not convinced that we're as good as we think we are yet either. But we've passed the tests, and our trash talking troll rivals seem to think we almost lost that Maryland game, and I didn't see that game that way at all. Did they make it closer than I would have liked? Absolutely, but I never felt like, even though we trailed a little bit in the first quarter, was it?
Yeah, we trailed in the first and like part of the second because we scored right before halftime.
I never felt like we were in danger. We weren't in control of the game. So, whatever.
Yeah, I didn't. That's not how I felt either. On the offensive side today, I mean, the key to me is going to be. I mean, you're gonna JJ's gonna have to hit his throws into there. I mean, which he hasn't had a problem. Past few weeks been as Gus Johnson said last week. I mean, had his arm on 110 against Maryland. Like when you throw in like for the deep ball wise, and I mean last week on the one deep ball he threw, he overthrew him too. It's got to be to me. It's just got to be excitement to him at that point.
Right.
Because I mean, we've seen him hit it. It's got to just be the energy of the game getting to him. But hit those throws when they're there. Stay clean on the turnover side. Don't turn the ball over. And I mean the rushing attack. I mean the rushing attack big. Just period. I mean it's been like that since last season, 2 seasons. We run the ball good, we win the game usually. We don't run the ball good, we lose the game. Michigan, Georgia, as we didn't do versus Georgia last year. Because we all know.
Yeah, but hey, have you heard anything about Henning? There was talk that he might be out this week too.
He was questionable last week and ended up playing, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't think he played the second half. I think he played the first half. Seems like we had somebody else back there the second half. I can't remember for sure, but um,
Well, because he only does punts now. He doesn't do kickoffs.
yeah.
I haven't. I mean, I remember last week he was questionable, but he ended up playing. I don't know. I can't. I don't see you. No, that's from last season. I don't see anything, at least on the internet, about it. I'd have to get on Twitter and see because I don't.
Yeah, that's fine. It just kind of hit
So
me while we're going on a little bit about.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a good game. I think we're going to play normal football today, and I think we win. I don't think we cover the spread, but I think we win by like probably 17.
Yeah.
The
I'm
spread's
thinking like a
22.5.
34-14 is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a massive blowout, but I don't think it's going to be like any doubt that we're winning this football game either.
No, it's important in all games, but especially on the road in hostile environments. We got to take care of the ball. JJ's been very fortunate. I think he's fumbled 4 times so far, but hasn't thrown any. Got a pick taken away because there was a penalty. Um, so he's got to clean that up. And other than that, he's been really rock solid. And Donovan Edwards saves his ass last week when he recovered that. I think it was inside the 5. It was on the 3-yard line if I remember right. And had Iowa gotten that ball, it might have been a different ball game.
Oh yeah, I mean, if anything like that turns that game around instantly. Um, but I mean, we'll see how it goes today. I'll do my. I mean, my prediction's probably a something like last year, like a 31-14. Let me see, do my math here. 31-17, something like that. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping if we can shut them out, that's even better. But yeah, I think it's gonna be. It'll be under the spread, but far enough over.
Yep.
How far are we in this episode? So, real quick, can we just get rid of the? Can we just get rid of the Big Ten West, please?
It's garbage, and you and I have talked about this, but I'm still in utter disbelief that they got rid of Paul Chryst. And I know the COVID year was bad, but I don't think that should really be held against anybody, or anybody should get a contract based off it either. Last year, a little bit of a down year for him, and a really bad start this year. But guy's 5-1 in bowl games, and is won as many games there as just about anybody, and um, by all accounts, did things the right way. Um, Wisconsin native, Madison native, and to just wipe him out in the middle of the season, seemingly out of nowhere. Had to be a booster thing, right? There's a booster with a lot of money saying, "Hey," and the one thing that really surprised me about that is, he was owed close to $20 million, maybe 21, and he settled for a buyout of 11. Man, if you're firing me and you owe me fucking $20 million, you're giving me $20 million. Uh, I kind of thought it was funny that they made a big deal about, okay, they got to write him an $11 million check by, I think it was the end of February, end of March of this coming year, 2023. But man, you fire me, I'm not giving you no fucking discount. You can kiss my ass. But it just shows the character of the guy, I guess, and what he's about. But and don't get me wrong, $11 million in free money's a shit ton of money. But I expect him to pop back up somewhere, and do a good job. He was always a real low profile guy, right? Not a rah-rah guy, not this, not that. Never really heard a peep of anything about him, but all he did for a really long time there was win and be competitive. And I think Wisconsin, everybody thinks this now, right? Because this is a whole nother rant, but Michigan State thinks that they are national contenders every year, and the way that these people, these guys are talking on Twitter and social media right now, like they are so fucking delusional that it is. I would think it's satire if I didn't know these guys were serious, but everybody thinks that they should that they're entitled to be in the college football playoff year after year after year. And the reality is even when we expand, there's going to be 10 dozen teams that are going to be in the conversation every year, and we should be one of them, right? But Wisconsin's is never going to be. I don't care if you bring in Urban Meyer in there, you're not. It's just not what they are, and who they're going to be. So people get caught up in this win now, and I'm sure the NIL plays quite a bit into it. But there were, I seen quite a few tweets from Wisconsin players tweeting out support for him, and so it doesn't sound like there was a player mutiny, and they wanted him out, or they quit on him. But yeah, kind of a weird situation.
Well, yeah, I mean, like you said, with the whole, I mean, shoot, Michigan State thinks that they're national contenders because they have one decent year with Mel Tucker, and now that whatever that running back Kenneth Walker's gone, the dude who literally carried them to about every single win last year, because God knows it wasn't Peyton Thorne.
Right. No, without him, we roll them last year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and a lot of teams probably beat them, as we see this season with Maryland blowing them out and Minnesota blowing them out. I mean, God, they're so bad. I mean, they have a dog shit football coach.
Right. His words.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, but I brought this up because Nebraska's sitting in fucking first fucking place of the West right now at 2-1, 3-3. I'm like, fucking Christ, dude. This just shows how bad that conference is. I mean, that division is. I mean, that's.
Yeah, and hello, Scott Frost. They get him out of there, and
Yeah, they've won 2 straight.
Yeah, 1-2 straight now.
Yeah, actually, they fired him after what game? Georgia Southern loss.
I think so. Yep.
Lost to OU, which, oh well. Beat Indiana by 2 scores, and then beat Rutgers last night by 1 touchdown. What, 1 point? I don't know. We'll see what happens. I would not. I'll cheer for him now that he's gone. I don't care what they do now. That's not going to bother me either way.
No, I've always, up until the voters gave Tom Osborne a parting gift in '97. I always had a lot of respect for the program. Them in Oklahoma were 2 of the powerhouses when I was growing up, and I've gotten over my bitterness over that bullshit half national championship. But it's good to see the Blue Bloods win, whether you're talking about football or basketball or whatever. College sports are better when your traditional powerhouses are good.
Yeah.
End of story. So and that even goes true for our rivals, Ohio State. College football's better for Michigan, seemingly being on the right track and being better right now. And Michigan State just so bad wants to be in that conversation, but they're not. And speaking of Michigan State, we're going to go off the rails a little bit here, but Draymond Green is a fucking bitch. He is a little bitch, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'm sure you've seen that video, right? Of him popping Poole, which whatever.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people calling that a sucker punch, and I don't really think it's a sucker punch. I think that it was a cheap shot, but it, and you know, all the Spartans just saying, well, he pushed him first. Well, Draymond ran up to him chest to chest and kind of bumped him back. What's he supposed to do? That was a get the fuck out of my face push by
Jordan Poole was 20 yards away from him the whole time.
Right. And you could kind of see he was side talking out of his mouth. They both were. There's a lot of stories out there that Poole's ego has gone through, and he's talking about building a pool, and you're not going to swim in Jordan Poole's pool, and blah blah blah. Apparently, that's what instigated it because Draymond got tired of it. Steph Curry come out and said that wasn't it, but who knows? But the point is that was a cheap shot, right? But on the other hand, Poole should have been ready for that. He didn't know it was like that, obviously. But if a man runs up on you and you got to push him out of your face, you better be ready to fight. And Poole wasn't. He pushed him and kind of turned away, thought it was over, and here comes Draymond, boom, rocked him. Looks like he slept him. Typical Sparty. You can't do that to your teammate. And we don't talk much about NBA, but because of the rivalry, I thought that was important. And I've always hated that cocksucker, and that just kind of solidified it.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I get it. I haven't. I watched the video. I haven't read much up else on it since then, just because I was like, okay, well, Draymond Green. I'm telling you right now, Draymond Green's probably going to be a Piston within the next year, 2 years.
You know what? And I read that he said it a lot, but I think that this might have canceled that. And Draymond Green, I've said this many times. I feel pretty strongly, and there's no way of knowing, but I feel pretty strongly that I would not like him no matter where he went to school.
And I don't hate Draymond Green. I never actually since he's been in the NBA. He's not the player that he thinks he is.
No, he's a solid player, right? So to me, he's a Dennis Rodman or a Bill Laimbeer. Bill Laimbeer minus the shooting, and you know Rodman's probably the better comparison, but he's more of an agitator than Rodman was, and Rodman was a pretty good agitator, but he's solid. I don't think he's a Hall of Fame player, but he's carved out his niche in the NBA, and he's done very well with it, and that's fine. But I just don't get the adultation to him, and his act has just gotten old. I don't believe he's a good teammate, and his ego is the size of Michigan Stadium, and come out from the hard parts of Sagnasty and good on him, but I don't know. I just never liked the guy, but I do. Where I was going with all that is, I do think he's one of those guys like Laimbeer and Rodman and like Charles Oakley, guys back in the day, the guys that you hated but you would love to have on your team. But I'd be a little bit surprised if Troy Weaver brought him in, just because he's not a high character guy, right? And he doesn't seem to be he's a me first, not a team first guy. And with this young core, I don't see how that fits in. He's not a locker room leader. He's obviously not a calming presence. And this isn't a team that's on the verge of a championship. He's a little bit similar in personality, I guess, to Rasheed Wallace, but Rasheed come in and kind of toed the line and did his thing, and without Rasheed, we don't win a championship that year. To me, that's the only thing that makes sense. That would make sense to bring him in, and Draymond has said quite a bit he'd be willing to give the hometown discount because he wants to come play at home, and I get that, but I just don't see the fit, and I don't think this last incident helps at all.
No, not at all. I just still feel like Troy Weaver kind of wants to bring back that the bad boy feel to Detroit.
And I would love that.
Boys, but
that's my favorite era.
That's kind of where I feel that he would come in. Other than that, let's see where that situation goes. It'll be interesting to see. What happens to Draymond? What happened? I mean, I don't. If he gets traded, Adam Wojnarowski posted last night, pretty much stating the Warriors aren't happy over it at all. Especially not over it being leaked, because whoever leaked it's going to have some shit too. Well, leak the video at least.
Whoever leaked that video is getting fired.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because that was like off a phone video, taken off a screen.
There's reports that guy got $2.6 million to do that, and
yep, here you go. Take my job.
Right, I'll figure it out.
I got money to live off of for the next fucking 3 years.
I'll figure it out. The bad side is he'll never get a job in sports again because he'll be blackballed. That probably as he should, but that's that'd be pretty hard to turn down. I don't care who you are. All you got to do is give me this 15-second clip of right before it started to where he hits him, and here's your bag. I would be like, I don't know. There's not a whole lot of people. Probably 95% of the working force population is going to take that deal. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Good on him. Get your bag and
get out.
Invest that money and go work at McDonald's as a fry guy. Just to be okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess I'm moving to picks. Yes, you got me by like 10 games.
All right, what's our first one of the week?
It's gonna be Tennessee at LSU. LSU's ranked 25. Tennessee's ranked 8th. Who you got?
I'm gonna go with Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm not gonna pick upsets not gonna pick an upset on that game. LSU's not that good. I mean, Tennessee. I think Tennessee has a chance to be undefeated, rolling into the Bama game next week.
Yeah,
and I think they have a pretty good chance of taking Bama down for the first time, and I think since 2006. So I'm gonna go.
Okay, so you're picking Tennessee next week over Bama.
Well, I'm not going to say that now because there could be injuries today and things like that. We'll talk about that next week. All right.
All right.
Next one, number 17 TCU and number 19 Kansas.
To me, this is the game of the week, right? This is going to be the most fun or most exciting game to watch. I really want to go with Kansas, but I'm going to roll with TCU on this one. Yeah, but I would be shocked if Kansas pulls it off.
I think TCU wins big. I think they win by.
It's at Kansas, correct?
Yes, it's at Kansas. I still think TCU wins big. I know Oklahoma's dead, but the way that they rolled Oklahoma last week, I think that they roll Kansas today. Next one, Arkansas at number 23, Mississippi State. Arkansas is barely on the outside of the top 25. I mean, they're playing at Mississippi State. Mississippi State's a decent team this year. I'm going to go with Arkansas there. I think Arkansas gets back in the top 25 after this win.
Yeah, I'm rolling with Arkansas on that one too.
God damn it. Let's stop picking the same people. All right. Next one, Red River rivalry. Fun fact on this is the first Red River rivalry that has been unranked since, I believe, 2010, 2011.
Yep.
That both teams have been unranked. Rumors last night that Quinn Ewers might return today for Texas. I think either way, I think Texas wins it. But if Quinn comes back, Texas wins by 2 scores at least. But I'll pick Texas there. Oklahoma's dead. Dead.
I don't know about that. Let's yeah, I'll roll with Texas.
You really don't want to give up any of that lead, do you? Next one. Threw it in here more as a joke. Number 3, Ohio State at Michigan State. I think we both know how this game's going to go, but should I just write down the same thing that I think we're both thinking?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Ohio State by a lot.
I will do the next podcast on my head if Michigan State wins this game.
It's not going to happen.
No. Even though it's at Spartan Stadium, Sparties have been complaining on Twitter for a week that it's going to be a sea of red. I just don't see it happening.
Oh yeah, that's what they always do. I mean, Dad, when we went in 2000, what year we go to Spartan Stadium, and it was 3/4 Michigan.
Right.
That year we went. I mean, once they start losing, their fans,
they're done.
As I've said for years, they don't have true fans. Their fans are there when they're good, and there's no one fucking there when they suck.
Right. And they love to talk shit when they're on top, or they perceive they're on top or equal. But the minute they start going downhill, they just go back in their little mole holes.
Oh yeah, yep. See Ohio there. This would be a good game. Number 11 Utah at number 18 UCLA out there on the West Coast. I mean UCLA is playing good football. Took down Washington last week. Utah, I think Utah's won 5 straight in this series. This is probably the toughest pick for me for the day. I'm gonna roll with the Utes, but it's probably gonna come back to bite me in my ass.
Yeah, I'm going with UCLA on this. They're just playing too good of football.
Yeah, it's probably gonna come back to bite me.
Yeah, and that is a tough one. I think
that's a really tough game.
I think the TCU Kansas is right up there too, even though you think TCU is going to roll. But that should be another exciting game to watch if you're, even if you're not a fan of the team.
Yeah, no, 100%. Next game is we heard about this build up all off season, the Jimbo and Nick Saban feud. Texas A&M at Alabama.
Yeah, that game's going to be over by the end of the first quarter.
I think so too.
And if I wouldn't be surprised to see Saban over there raping old Jimbo. I don't think that Saban would care if they lost the rest of their games this year as long as he can beat him.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I don't think Bama. If Bama gets up, I don't think Saban pulls back the reins at all. He's gonna full steam ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
With them. So Bama. We did not pick against Chile. Next one, K-State, number 20 in the nation, versus Iowa State, or at Iowa State. I'm taking K-State. I'm not picking Iowa State anymore this year. They've screwed me over too many times. So I'm going to go with K-State. I mean, K-State and Kansas, I think, are tied for first in the Big 12 right now.
Yeah.
This will be the day Iowa State wins, and just because I'm not picking them, but
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with. No, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna roll with Kansas State too.
dude, you just don't want to give up any of that lead, do you?
I can pick first if you want. We're just happen to be on the same page.
No,
Maybe
I
you're
know.
gonna have a good week, or I'm gonna have a shitty week.
Yeah.
And no, I don't want to give up lead for the record. I want to add to it every week, but that's not affecting my picks either.
Oh, I know. Number, I think 16. I didn't write the ranking. BYU at Notre Dame. BYU's playing good football too. I watched them for the first time last week. They played pretty good They played not pretty good. They played really good football last week. I'm gonna roll with BYU here. I think they
Yeah,
go
me
into
too.
Notre
Part of
Dame's
me,
look a lot better though.
yeah, Notre Dame's got to start winning, or Freeman's going to be out at the end of the year. But and that gives me a little pause. But as you said, BYU's been playing good football, and they look rock solid so far. So I'm rolling with them too.
All right, now our last one tonight. Oh, this isn't Washington. This should be Washington State, I think. Tonight, Washington. I believe it's Washington. I wrote down Washington, but Washington State at SC. Let me just visit. Yeah, it's Washington State.
Okay. Yeah, SC there. That's a no-brainer. They're playing good. Lincoln Riley's done a great job so far, and
Washington State beat someone big this year, though. Washington State's 4-1. I do know that. Let me find that game real quick. Because they're 4-1, 1-1 the pack. They lost Oregon by 3. How many games did they pick against each other?
they beat Wisconsin when they were ranked.
Yeah, Wisconsin's. I don't think Wisconsin was that good this season, as we've seen against Ohio State and then
Right, but
Illinois.
they beat Idaho, they beat Wisconsin, they beat Colorado State,
Damn near beat Oregon.
damn near beat Oregon, and beat Cal. So not a murderer's row, but I mean Wisconsin was 19 at the time, Oregon was 15. So
I'm taking Washington State.
They got yeah, there you go. That might knock you one off. They got a pretty formidable schedule. They got USC, Utah, and then Washington at the end of the year. So good on them. Maybe they'll have a great year.
Yeah. So just an update record. You're 15-5. I'm 10-10. I mean, if I'm gonna have to pick up those games that we picked against each other.
I think there's only 2.
Yeah, 3. No, there's only 2. The UCLA Utah game and the last game Washington USC game, Washington State. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see what happens. What time is it? But yeah, I think that's all I got for today. It was a pretty good.
Me too. Did you throw out your score prediction for today?
Yeah, I said like 31-14, something like 31-14, 31-17. Did you? I thought you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
all right, guys.
We may or may not be on. We probably won't be on after the game, but maybe tonight.
No, you're going to be playing cornhole instead of watching the football game.
Yeah,
so
sorry, I have a regional. I have a regional tournament today that my partner just backed out on. So
assistant to the regional manager tournament.
But
all right, guys. Well, if we don't see you this afternoon, we'll see you next week.